Gutierrez is a former U.S. Commerce Secretary, former CEO of Kellogg. Roy Beck is the president of NumbersUSA, a group that says America must cut back on immigration. We appreciate both of you taking the time.
Pleasure.
Carlos, let me start with you and just get straight to the heart of this. When you pull up the education level of people who come into this country, right? People, businesses want to hire. We have a screen here. 75% of the Indians that come to the United States have a bachelor's or higher degree. 44% of the Chinese who come to America have a bachelor's or higher degree. 5% of the Mexicans that come into America, and they are the biggest group that comes into this country, have a bachelor's degree or higher. Doesn't this explain why big business doesn't care as passionately about this issue?
Well, no, not really, because you have some big businesses that need low-skilled workers in order to survive, whether that be big farms, hospitality organizations, restaurants. So this is all about business in general, and there are some businesses that are more interested in high-skilled workers, but believe me, there are a lot of businesses who can't function with low-skilled workers. And one of the estimates is that in 2008, the Pew Foundation estimated that we needed about 250,000 low-skilled workers in that year alone, and we are going through an economic downturn. So we need both at the top and at the bottom, and business should be very involved because we can't grow our economy without immigration.
All right. What's your response to that, Roy? Do you think that justifies why we have a lot of these immigrants coming in and allowing many of them to come in who frankly are not legal?
Yeah, well, not at all. I mean, this country has no shortage of high school dropouts. It has no shortage of people who have only a high school degree. We know that we don't have a shortage because the highest unemployment rate is among high school dropouts and our people with only a high school degree. We should not be importing zero. We should be importing zero immigrants who are in the lower skilled, lower educated category. It's really a crime. It's a government crime against the unemployed, lower skilled, lower educated people of this country who are disproportionately Hispanic and black Americans for us to have immigration of these lower skilled people.
Carlos, what do we do about the fundamental problem here, which is, I mean, we can debate whether we need to import unskilled labor or not, and that's a fair debate. But what about this broader issue? How do you change the fact that even when a lot of these illegal immigrants have been in this country for a couple of generations, they still don't tend to have the higher education levels that some of the immigrants from Asia do once they've been here a couple generations? What do you do to change that?
Well, I wouldn't say that that's actually the way it works. First-generation immigrants will typically be undereducated. Many will not speak English. But the whole magic of our country is that their children will get an education, and their children will go on and contribute to society, and that's the way our country has evolved, and that's the way it's grown. We have not had a period of growth in this country without immigration. And it's a good reminder just to remember that the last time we closed immigration, the last time we declared war on immigration was about 4 years before the Great Depression. That's
an interesting statistic. Roy, what about that?
Well,
any past can be a lesson for us there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact is the late 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the post-World War II period, we had very low immigration, and, of course, we had fantastic growth. The growth, of course, that matters is per capita growth. That's when Americans became so much better off. So we... we're in a situation where the best thing for America, best thing for American business is a healthy society. And a society like Arizona and California, where such a large part of the economy is illegal, with an illegal workforce, where businesses can't count on their competitors following the law, that's not good for business.
Carlos, let me ask you this question when we look at just how things have changed. In 1960, according to the Migration Policy Institute, 6% of the immigrants that came to the United States were from Mexico. Now, 30% of the immigrants that come to the United States are from Mexico, only 4% coming from places like in India, or 4% from China. Is that too high, that 30%, or do you think, no, it's unfair to say any number is too high?
If the jobs are here, it's not too high. And let me just put this in a global context. Every single developed country in the world, Europe, even some developing ones, Russia, China, will have or is having some major demographic problems. Their working age populations will stop growing at some point in the future. That means it's going to be very difficult for them to grow their economy and very difficult for them to meet the obligations for Social Security and pensions and Medicare like we have. And they've turned to immigration. As you know, Europeans have turned to immigration, and they're having an awful time because they don't understand it. The culture doesn't accept it.
Right.
We know how to do this. It could be an advantage for the next century.
It's an interesting point. Carlos Gutierrez, Roy Beck, thank you very much. To be continued. And next.